All right, here we go.
I know what my stuff say.
Welcome to the 24K Life Podcast. I'm your host, Derick Gant. You know, this is our 100th podcast episode. Woo! And I will tell you, if you don't know anything about podcasts, most podcasters only make it past number 6. They only do 7 podcasts before they crash and burn. So to say that we've been able to hit 100 is a really amazing accomplishment. So I'm proud of the 24K Life community. I'm proud of us for being able to continue this process. If you don't know, the 24K Life is all about creating a space for people to improve themselves. You know, we bring you content that helps you to elevate your mind, your body, your spirit, your relationships. You know, 24K is not about getting rich. It's about mastering yourself, understanding that you are the goal. And once you become the best version of yourself, you offer your gifts, your skills to the world, then the world will pay you for it. And that is where the gold comes in. So being the gold is all about being your absolute best. And so we're here for self-mastery. Now, on this special occasion, I got 2 of the most amazing guests anybody could ever ask for. And if you ever had kids, or if you have kids, you will know that they are your pride and joy. Most of the time, you're only as happy as your saddest child. So, you know, I thought about this, and it was recommended to me. It says, hey, why don't you have your boys interview you so that they can give an adult perspective of their life journey living with you, understanding a lot of the philosophies and the strategies that you use as you walk through life. So they agreed. This is Devin. This is Jordan. And, you know, I will do my best to drop in some clips from when we did our only other family podcast. We actually did it right outside on the walkway. If you remember that years ago, you were sporting a little tank top, looking like a muscle magnet. And I think you were playing ball. And so we had some great time, some great maturity. So really it's their show today. They're going to ask questions about their journey, about my perspective of what I was looking to do as their father, as their motivator, as their mentor, as their coach, as their guide, and how it has affected them along the way. Or maybe they want to know why I was pushing certain agendas and certain things like that. You guys got some questions ready?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Who wants to pop out first?
I'm grilling them.
Oh, you're going to grill me. Appreciate it.
No, but seriously, you always used to have these coin jars. You probably still do.
Yeah. I still do.
Massive coin jars.
Yeah.
And if you read the 24K Life, you know that your granddad would have the paint cans.
Yeah.
And would put the
coffee cans. The coffee cans. Yeah.
And put those in there. And there was one day, I don't know if you remember, we were pulling into the garage. There's like a penny on the floor in the car. Yeah. I look at the penny, and for some reason I just throw it in the garage. Yeah. And you don't get mad at me, but you're like, dude, go get that penny. Yeah. And he was serious. He was not playing about this penny.
I went to the gym today. Guess what I picked up?
What?
A penny. And yesterday I worked at the gym and I picked up a quarter.
So the question is, I understand that your granddad had the coffee cans. Did it stem from that, or was there a deeper seated lesson in having me pick up that penny, or always holding on to this loose change? So the answer is no. It has nothing to do with my granddad's cans. In the book, I do talk about granddad's cans, but more as a money management system. So when he had these Hillsboro old school Folgers, coffee cans, he had one of them that was for like household stuff. So when customers paid him in cash, because this is my granddad, so back in the day, he owned a barbershop. So he would take some money and put it into one can. That was for the house. He put some money into a can. That was for savings. And then the other can, was his money. So he could go do whatever he needed to do. And so then he would, every once in a while, because, it's not like today where we run to the bank every 5 seconds or we do wire transfers. So then once a week, or a couple times a week, he'd take the money out of the can, take it to the bank. Or his money would go upstairs and he'd give money to my grandmother for groceries, blah, blah, blah. But the concept of picking money up when you see it, even if it's a penny, is gratitude and respect for what it represents. So people are always asking for ish, right? Lord, please do this. Oh, I really wish I had this. And so what it really
denotes is that when you see money on the ground, or you see something, or you're just being wasteful, you're telling the universe, I don't care about that. That's not important to me, or it's not big enough to be important to me. So I'm gonna keep stepping. That's not what I want. Yeah. But if you asking for resources, then shouldn't you take all resources? Mm-hmm. So it's a message to the world that I'm grateful for whatever you give me. You give me a client that's gonna pay me 20 grand, or if I find a quarter at the gym, I'm equally as excited because it's the energy of where I'm going.
Yeah,
bro. I'm telling you, I will pick up penny up in a heartbeat, and I put the penny and a quarter in my ashtray in the car. Now, let's trust and believe. Most of the time, what I do with that is I'll take my ashtray out, dump it in my hand, and I'll give it to a homeless person on the street. Mm-hmm. But it's going to help myself or someone, and it is the energy behind the thought of saying, oh, that's not too small of a gift. God obviously put that in my way, because let me tell you something. If he dropped a stack of hundreds, you gonna pick that up?
Right, man.
You gonna pick that up and you're like, ooh, God is good. You know how black people are. God is good. All the time. And you ain't thinking, somebody lost this. Let me go to, no, you're thinking, oh, Lord, he put this in my path to bless me, right? And he put that penny, that quarter, and anything else in that path. Yeah. So that's why.
All right, that's a good answer.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Yeah,
that's an easy one, but I appreciate it. And that's a good point, because you want people to have that energy. Like, you know, they talk about gratitude all the time. You got to be grateful. Got to be grateful. Wake up in the morning. No, I'm always grateful.
Because, you know, as a kid, I'm like, man, Dad just being hard. He just don't want me to waste no penny, man. Why you making me go get this penny?
Yeah, you know that TV show with Chris.
Everybody hate Chris.
Everybody hate Chris. When the dad be like, hey, you got 15 cents worth of chicken on that bone.
You still 10 cents worth of milk.
So yeah, so it's not that bad. I'm not that bad, but it's a funny joke. And Mr. Krabs is one of my favorites too.
That's true.
You know,
Mr. Krabs.
Yeah. Yep. What's next? What y'all got?
You got a question?
Yeah, I got a question. All right, so in the realm of parenting, I have a memory that comes back to me often, and I wonder if you remember this. Mm-hmm. I was outside, I was shooting basketball, and I had left the garage door open, and I went to shoot, and the ball went in, and it broke. It was like a window or something. Mm-hmm. It was like a piece of glass sitting on the ground. It went in and broke the glass, and I just remember, like, if I did something that deserved punishment, then I got what was coming to me. Right. But for some reason this time, you didn't get mad. You just kind of shrugged it off a little bit, like. So, but that stuck with me in life, like how you decided for some reason for that particular time, you somehow knew that, like, I felt sorry about it, and I didn't intend to do it. Right. And even though it seemed warranted that you come down on me for, like, some reason, like, you know, because it was a fairly obvious mistake that I should have closed the garage door, or that I should have just not had. I should have done something to prevent that. Right. And yet you didn't get. But you decided not to get too mad. You're not thinking about. First of all, I'm a sports dad, so I'm happy you out there shooting hoops. Yeah. Okay. You know, okay. Number two is that, you know, you only do what you were raised to do, right? And so, you know, a lot of those things. You know, you inherit from your parents, like, oh, this was wrong when I was a kid. You're supposed to have better sense than to know to do blah, blah, blah. And who knows, you know, it might have been one of those scenarios where, you know, the ball bounced in the garage and broke something. It could have rolled under the car and not done anything or whatever. So I don't remember exactly that deal. I do remember somebody breaking my golf statue on the fireplace on Sandringham. Who did that?
Remember that golf statue I had?
I remember the statue. It wasn't me.
I don't remember.
Are you sure it wasn't you?
I don't think so. I do remember that. It was me. And I was salty, but I still didn't go off. Because y'all were kids.
I remember that.
That was a great looking statue. It was
a black golfer.
Yeah, man.
It was like before Tiger Woods.
Before Tiger, he had on the little cap. He was gold. And that was before I was
even into it. Bronze.
Yeah, like bronze. Yeah. So I do remember that, and I was salty because I had bought it out of town. And, you know, the golf club, it was all plaster or whatever. Once you broke it, it was done.
It was done, yeah.
But, you know, so here's the thing. You know, we as you know now, I live by the 24K life code. I live my life by a code. I call it 24K, but it's a code of discipline that applies to each one of us differently, right? So when it comes to punishment, I tell this to my friends or people that I might be counseling a little bit. But I told them, I remember the last day I hit you. Right? You remember the last day I hit you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we were in the car. And I don't remember the last day I hit him. I remember the day I decided to stop hitting him. Because, we're corporal punishment. My parents used to beat my ass. And so that's what you did. You like, kid got in trouble, we're going to get a spanking. And so I remember we was in the car. And, I always play around, grabbing your knee and squeezing it real hard. Because that's what my dad did to me.
Yeah, he did to us too.
Yeah. So I was driving. I'm driving. Obviously, it was Jordan. He's sitting over here. And I reached over to touch him or something. And he flinched like, don't hit me. And we weren't even mad and I realized in that instance that wasn't working for you.
Yeah.
Right. And I realized that wasn't the kind of parent I wanted to be. I don't want to rule by fear or lead by fear or guide by fear. I wanted to guide by love. But I still wanted you to get the point. So then we had to try 1,000 other things to get your attention. None of them much work, but it is what it is.
Very hard to discipline.
Yeah. So, but we had to learn along the way, and that's part of the code, right? I had to learn how to be a parent because me, my brother, and my sister, we came from a generation where they said, "Hey," and you said, "Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am."
Let me put it in perspective for everybody out there. I tell this story every now and then. This is how my dad came up. I was one time, I don't know if you remember this. I don't know. I always wonder how much you heard about this from Mom. I was at Nana's house when she lived on Bernath.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the back seat of the car. Obviously, I remember this memory crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the back seat of the car, and Mom said something. And I don't know what I said, but it was very smart. It was like real smart underneath cuss words. And Nana she punched me right in the mouth.
Oh, no, I never heard about that.
You never heard about that?
Never.
It's funny because I was telling a story the other day and I was like, I bet Mom went home and was like, your mom. No. So it's funny that she didn't say nothing. She must have felt justified because that's how he came up with
that's all about when we grew up, my mom would get in your hind parts and then she would tell your dad and then he would beat your hind parts, right? So you got it twice. Or if you got trouble at school, then your mom got you, you came home, and then when your dad, he'd get you too. So you was just in trouble. So that was that kind of energy. So she probably knew this ain't nothing I need to say to extenuate this problem because the problem's be taken care of. So him get in trouble again. That's what my imagination.
She didn't want me getting
getting it twice.
Run it back. He got enough.
He had enough. I did have enough.
Because I remember my mom never hit me in the mouth, but I remember seeing her hit my sister in the mouth, like bam, and I was like,
"That's enough."
Yeah,
that was enough.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
So no. But you got another question?
Yeah. Kind of what you were talking about leads to my next question, which is, did you have a mindset or any frame of code going into raising Jordan, and then had to pivot with raising me, or while raising Jordan? And pivoted while you were talking about with hitting him.
Yeah, you want to add something to it?
I wanted to add that he didn't get. How many times you get spanked?
Oh, no,
a lot of my spankings came from you snitching. When you talk about Nana hitting people in the mouth, I remember we was at the house. You called Nana on me because I wasn't listening to you. You ain't even have me doing nothing crazy. And Nana pulled up with the belt. She opened the door swinging.
Hey,
Nana.
Listen. This is why. Hold on. Yeah. Because did you not have a reputation for being even more off the hook than me?
But I wouldn't do that. No.
Okay.
That's just crazy.
So first of all,
you were just mad I wouldn't listen. There's no danger coming.
Yeah. First of all, let's be honest. You're the oldest son. He was watching, and he was like, "Yeah, I ain't doing that."
Oh,
so the stuff that you would do, he would be like, "Yeah, I ain't doing that." I ain't doing that. So to answer the question, no, because then Kobe was a girl, so she got away with everything.
Yeah. Okay.
So Uncle Jim didn't get in trouble. I got in trouble. Uncle Jim got off the hook.
You just got off that one time. You learned that one time.
Yeah, no. That time, I didn't say that. I was just watching. So I'm like, I will never say that. Right? So, but yeah, I had, so parenting is nothing but pivoting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
because a lot of people get a bad rap for like corporal punishment or spankings or whatever.
And kids
it's kind of a touchy subject.
Nowadays, kids will just call CSI on a parent and everybody in trouble. Mm-hmm. But back then, so to answer your question about that is that you have to pivot. But with Jordan, being the first, and he was here for 4 years by himself. He got 4 years of just him. like nothing but like oozing of love and gifts and toys and
I was spoiled
in gifts, right? So when it came to punishment,
or just in general, not even with punishment, just how you wanted to raise us in general.
Well, you know, what I wanted to do was I wanted to implement a lot of things that my parents did because I felt like my sister, my brother, and myself turned out pretty good compared to other kids and families, right? We turned out amazing.
That is true.
So I wanted to incorporate a lot of the same things, but at the same time, I was able to pivot. And I just gave you an example of not hitting, not hitting Jordan because I'm like, okay, I'm not even in the mindset to chastise him. We're not in the mood of chastisement. It's a positive environment, and he's flinching when I go to reach. That says worlds of stuff. But no words needed. I immediately decided that was the last. He was never going to get hit again, right? And so, but when you're parenting, you always have to pivot. The cool part is that you were very observant, and so I didn't have to punish you. He may say, "Well, you got off," but you got off because he was doing some foul shit, and you were like, and we was going out. My top was going off the top of the ceiling.
Yeah, I ain't trying to get hit in the mouth.
And you was like, "Yeah, I'm not trying to set Dad off like that."
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's one reason or another. I'm not saying it's because y'all were more lax or because he behaved better. I'm saying it was a combination of like, for whatever reason, he only got 5 spankings.
No, you can't. He might got 5 in 1 year.
Yeah,
he might got 5 in a year. He got his.
I got whooped so much it made him look like he got 5. No, it made it look like
you gotta remember.
I also got demerits every day.
Yeah, but you got to remember that when I made the decision to stop hitting you, then I had to stop hitting him.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
So you were 5. You got 5-year leave.
Yeah, you got to, So you took a lot of brunt, and it's not that you was getting beat at 5, but because this scenario was you were probably 10.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was a little older.
You might have been a little bit older because it was around 10, 11. So if you think about it, he was 5.
Yeah.
So 5, because we wasn't beating you at 5, so because you can't do nothing that wrong at 5.
Right.
So
what Dad would do, he'd grab you right here.
Yeah. Right about this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But that's what my dad used to do to me.
Yeah.
So and my dad, his spankings hurt. You know why? Because he'd be like, I really don't want to hit you. Wham! You're like, I really don't want to do this, but you should know better than this.
That sounds familiar.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, you used to say that every now and then. Like, y'all hate doing it.
But I did. It's the worst thing for a parent, man. You don't want to see a kid sick. You don't want to see him hurt. You just don't. But at the same time, you can't be having hellions.
I would have.
And here's the thing. I was trying to raise, or I did raise, but my goal at that point was looking to raise productive citizens, right? I wanted you to be strong men that knew right from wrong, that knew, what was good and what wasn't good. And the problem with that is that we shouldn't use those euphemisms. We shouldn't say this is good and this is bad. It's like, okay, this is what you did, and this is what I hoped you would have done. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because you put this in somebody's mind, and all of a sudden they think they're a bad person. Right. Well, I'm bad because I'm always getting my ass beat. And then don't get it wrong, they wasn't always getting their ass beat. But if they got something, and they did enough of something, they got hemmed up. So
did you come in? I know you said you wanted to raise us kind of like how you were raised.
Yeah.
Did you come in with the plan like they're not going to do this, they're not eating this, they're going to do this by the age of 5 or 6? I'm going to have them in the gym. You know what I'm saying?
No. So your uncle, your uncle took a lot of the brunt of that, because if you noticed, I've never pushed either one of you to play sports.
Right.
So my point was like I was a really great athlete in high school and college, but I didn't want my brother to feel like he had to step up to do the things that I did to be considered a good person, right? So I never pushed sports on him. I never, when he started playing sports, I gave him some tips and some advice, especially when he got recruited to college to play college football, but I didn't want to push it. And so then the same thing with you guys, I didn't want to push you guys either, right? You were in 7th grade before you decided you wanted to play football. And we was watching TV. You remember that story? We was in the basement at Tremore, and I was watching something. You was playing a video game, and you was like, "Hey, Dad, I want to play football." And I was like, "Okay, hold on, let me finish watching this show, then you could get on the game and play football." And you was like, "No, I want to play football." And I don't even remember, but I cut the TV off. I looked at you and was like, wait a minute. I swear to God, with a helmet and shoulder pads? He was like, yeah. And then we got up and went to Dick's. We went to Dick's right then and there on the spot, bro. Yeah. Your mom said, where you going? We'll be back. And I didn't buy you helmet and shoulder pads, but I bought you that vest.
Yeah.
Like the padded vest. Yep. I bought you a ball, because we didn't even have a football. Right. I bought you a ball. And we went after
training camp started today.
Yeah, training camp started as soon as we got home. So I was excited. Yeah. And then with him, he's an amazing athlete, but he just was so small framed, you know, he couldn't, his ankles would mess up. But man, I always told you, we could put his intensity,
is a good word.
in your body, you know, we'd have an amazing athlete together, right? Because, you know, his ankles were just a little weak. But so, you know, I didn't have a plan, but I will say this, before either of you were even thought of, before I was married, I was working for Elder Bierman, and I said I was working, you know, retail store hours, like all day, and for moderate money. And I said, you know, this job ain't gonna cut it when I have kids, because I'm not gonna be able to go to the art, take them to the art museum. I'm not gonna be able to show up for parent day and all the other things that go on. And swear to goodness, it was one of the main reasons why I left. I wasn't even married. I didn't even have kids, but that's the way my mind thought. It was like, you know, and when my mindset was, I want to be the dad that all the kids come to our house. Mm-hmm. And did we have that?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody came to our house because I was cool, because I had food, because it was lighthearted, because it was love, you know, because it was fun. So I always wanted to make sure that our house, and the reason why was because I know what's going on at our house. I don't know what's going on at nobody else's house. Yeah. Right. You remember the time, you probably don't, but you went to stay the night over somebody's house. And we always tried to vet people, because, you know, we don't let our kids just stay the night at nobody's house. So this particular,
and they had guns.
Yeah, I remember that. And I made the comment. I was like, well, you know, at least you don't have guns.
Yeah.
And the dude was like, and I was like, oh shit. Right. And he says, well, I'll put them up. Don't worry. I'll lock them all up. And that was the last time we let you stay the night. Yeah. I mean, but even that was naive, because I got 2 guns in the house right now. Yeah, you know, so you're just naive and you don't know. So you're constantly pivoting.
You probably figure what mom would say too.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll freak out. Yeah. So what else you want to know?
Is there any mindsets that you could give us that, like, maybe just one mindset, even for the both of us, that could just run us with the rest of our life? If you instilled this one mindset in us, that we would be fine, and our kids would be fine, and our grandkids would be fine. Yeah, that's cool. Pass it down.
That's a good one. I like that one. You know, I would say that, and I didn't see this coming, so straight off the dome, but I would say, when you, as an individual, decide to take total ownership for every aspect of your life. So I call it radical ownership. When you decide to take total radical ownership, and radical simply means that everything is your fault. I just got a new record deal. That's my fault, right? Because I'm the man. I was doing what I do when they recognize me, and I got a record deal. I was out and, you know, my engine blew. Okay, that's my fault. I didn't put oil in the car. I didn't get a tune-up. So when you take responsibility for everything in your life, then you will start paying closer attention to the decisions that you make. You won't blame other people, which means you won't be looking to scapegoat. You won't be looking for outside reasons why you win or fail. Well, you know, you win or lose. And that is like something that the society's missing. Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to blame, oh, I got this condition, right? Right? I got this condition. Oh, I got this sickness. So this is why, you know, the man, it used to be with us as minorities, it was the man. Yeah. The man is holding me down. Okay, where's this man? Right? Now, I'm not suggesting, for those of us that are out there, I'm not suggesting that we don't have systematic racism or systematic issues that make it more challenging for us to win. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, because it does. But what good does it do you to focus on that? It does you no good to focus on, this is what's going on to hold me down. No, you should be focused on, how can I get over this hurdle no matter what? So when you take radical ownership, that's the one thing I would tell you. I tell your grandkids, I tell my great grandkids, I tell their kids, look, own your ish, And if you do that, then you're going to make better decisions. You're going to figure out how to win more than you're going to figure out, excuses to take the L. And it's the best advice I could think of to give you.
I'm happy I asked that because you've definitely instilled that in me very well. I only got half the message.
Okay.
And when I say half, when you mess up, you take accountability for it. You take ownership for it. You reflect and say, what could I do to have done better if my engine blew up?
Right.
I'm make sure I got to get that oil change. I got to do this. I got to do that.
Right.
When I get a sale, maybe it's humility. Maybe it's the universe.
Yeah.
I got 5 people to thank on my podium.
Yeah.
And I'm never like,
own that.
I sold that.
Have you seen that? You see that Snoop commercial? He's on the podium. He goes, I want to thank me for all my hard work and all the awards that I won. I also want to thank me for the hours that I spent in the studio, and I want to thank myself for also not getting too down. I mean, that's the thing. And so the society lies to you all. It lies to me. It lies to all of us, telling you should be humble. You should be grateful. You should spread the love across everybody and don't be a standout. Hide your light. Don't be different than everybody. You don't. But we already know that people that go, screw that, Bush, man. I'm burning. My light's going to burn that thing down so everybody can see it, are the ones that win the biggest.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying other people don't win. They just win the biggest because they go, I'm going to do this no matter what. I'm going to be excellent. I'm going to be my best.
So let me ask you something. I have developed a process that I think is like the next level to this concept of taking extreme ownership, which is learning how to deal with the L's. Because when you take extreme ownership, that comes along with realizing you don't win everything.
Right? Yeah.
Not everything's a dub. Yeah. Not everything is. In fact, sometimes you crap out. Sometimes you crap out. And so what do you do when you crap out, when you're sitting there like, the next man is ready to get his soup bowl ready for the soup kitchen, but you're not going that route. What do you personally do? Well,
the first thing is, everybody likes to say, you learn from your mistakes. You learn from failures. You need those failures. And I'm like, fuck losing.
Yeah, some failures will kill you. And some shit you can't learn from. Some shit kill you.
So my thing is that, and I had a chance to teach this more to Devin because he was in the office longer than you were, but you win by not getting too high or going too low, right? So
Icarus.
Yeah. Yep. So you go, okay, you say, listen, I just got a brand new, I played a brand new song. You're a musician. I played out this brand new song, and it got 5,000 views in an hour. And you're like, yeah, right? Or you put out a brand new song, and one person likes it over a month.
Yeah.
So you sit there and you go, okay, well, I'm not going to say it was bad or it wasn't great. What I'm going to say is, what do I need to do better? Right. What do I need to do better? And I don't get too upset about it because I don't get too excited about the 5,000 in an hour because ain't nobody gave me $1. Right. Or if all of them gave me $1, school's going to offset the $1 you got from the one like. Right. And so you don't go too high and you don't get too low. And what you by doing that, you kind of stay in this zone of expectation. Like I expect to win. And that's another lie that they tell us. You don't assume. You make an ass out of you and me. No, that's some bull. You assume that I'm going to do great. I assume that I'm going to win. I assume that I'm him. I just assume it. I walk in the room knowing I'm him. And now somebody else may be in the room that's him. Okay, but that don't mean I'm not him. I'm just not him. Right? So in this room. So you just got to know who you are. So to answer your question, it's like, you're going to take an L. And you definitely can learn from it, but you definitely go, I don't want to repeat it. And that's how that's how you win from it. Whatever it took for me to get that L, I need to analyze that. And if you remember, in the highest level of sports psychology, when psychologists or trainers work with an athlete, they don't show them what they did wrong. They show them what they did right.
Yeah.
Right. So they say, hey,
replicated.
Yeah, you're jumping this hurdle. They don't show them when they knock the hurdle over. They say, see how you got over this hurdle and your back foot was here. Okay, we need to keep doing that. We need to perfect. So they're only showing them the win.
Yeah.
Because they already took the L.
Yeah.
They know what they did. Right. They already know what they did wrong. Yeah. So they're saying, so instead of saying this is what you did wrong, they said, look, see how you did it right? Number one, it says, you can do it right. You've done it right. And see what y'all used to do, man, this was hilarious. Both of you, bar none. Man, these kids would go to school, come home and get an A or a B and be like, I ain't got to study. I'm him. I ain't got to study. And then the next test, y'all get a D or an F. And I'm like, look. Don't get all excited about the A, right? You should be expecting yourself to get A's, right? Now, I didn't expect myself to get A's because I used to work my ass off for C's and B's. Mm-hmm. So, but I knew I shouldn't get D's either. Right. So I knew where my mental strength was. And so for you guys, it was like, okay, let me press you a little bit harder. And then you guys ended up being just like me. You're like, look, man, I can sleep on these books. I can date these books. I can do whatever I want, but ain't nothing coming out of these books on C's and B's. It don't matter, man. So
Mom used to have the longest tutor session with the flashcards.
He used to try to kill himself trying to. Oh my God! I remember.
Remember when I picked you up and I was like, hey, what did we get on the Spanish test? And I heard myself say, what did we get? And you was like, well, I missed such and such. I'm like, dude, we went over that this morning on the way to school. How did you miss that? And then I was like, okay, listen, I'm too involved. I'm too invested in this. I'm more invested than he is. So I got to back off.
I still remember you came in one time. I was studying in the dark. Because this is something that taught me about myself and how I think. You're like, what are you doing? Why are you studying in the dark? I said, cuz making my eyes stronger. He said, that's not how that works, Jordan.
Straining my eyes to make them stronger.
Yeah, so needless to say.
But that is a theme in your life, right?
Yeah, it's consistent.
You like testing the negative limits to see if you can overcome.
It's not the studying. It's I'm trying to accomplish a whole another task that's adjacent to study.
Yeah, don't study, bro.
Study adjacent.
Yeah, no, study.
So y'all touched on expectations. I've had a lot of barbershop talk and literal barbershop talk about expectations throughout life, managing with women, managing with friends, managing with yourself. And the root of it with them seemed to be don't have any expectations for anyone, first off.
Right.
But that's in the same vein of people are who they show you they are. Right. And taking them for that at that face value.
Right.
How you feel about, because we talked,
I remember clearly out of my own mouth, and this is why you have to pivot and learn and grow, and this is why you have to constantly be studying yourself. I clearly remember telling my mom one time, she was mad at my dad or upset with my dad because she sent him to the store, and Grandpa was in the store talking to everybody in the store. He go talk to everybody, the butcher, the vegetable people, and everybody knew him, right? Yeah. And so I went over to my Nana's house, and she's just pacing and mad. I'm like, well, why would you expect him to come back when every time he goes to the store, for two things, it takes him an hour? You know what's going to happen. Why would you expect something different? And so she just looked at me with this dumb look on her face, like lost, like, I don't know, But what I'm saying is that I don't think that you should expect things out of other people. Mm-hmm. Right. What I think you should do is expect things out of yourself. Mm-hmm. So from the barbershop conversation, I completely disagree. Right. So I think, every once in a while I'll send you pictures because they're single. Every once in a while I'll send them a picture of some hot chick that I want to.
He's single. You're going to get me in trouble.
Well, you know what I'm saying? You're not married. I'm just saying not married. So go
ahead. I'm in the doghouse now.
Dude, you spoke up.
You spoke up. You're good. You're covered. So anyway, I send them pictures of some girl that I think should be my daughter-in-law, right? And they both laugh at me and giggle and kiki and keep moving. And it's always some chick that nobody would expect to be able to get with. But what I'm saying to them when I send it to them is you can get anybody you want. You can get anybody that your heart, your mind, and your energy puts out to get. And not necessarily that person, but the person whose energy matches yours, right? And so the barbershop talk about expecting, you can't expect other people because you can't control anybody but yourself. But if you put yourself in a position that you're 24K, that your value is high, guess who you're vibing with? Other people of excellent, high vibing character, right? Results and everything else that you're looking for. So you're going to attract who you are. So you need to continuously work on yourself so that you're expecting to attract somebody like you and you a high-end brother. That's my thoughts on that. So you should expect to be able to get the best car. You should expect that everybody you meet in a sales call is going to want to do business with you. Why wouldn't they?
Let me lead into my question with that, because that's a good segue into my question. So, this time last year, maybe a little bit before this time last year, y'all both know I was getting the job as a DJ at the club, right? And I was trying to basically get back on my own 2 feet. And since this time last year, I've acquired. I always wanted to live by the water, which I live by the water now.
Yep.
I always wanted to have a nice car, which now I drive a Benz SLK. I always wanted to elevate. Now I'm with Next Level DJs, which is the number one DJ company in this area.
Okay.
Right. So my thing is, if you would give us an example of where that happened to you, because I know a lot of people are told you need to use your mindset like this, and if you visualize, but I actually that was my last year. This last year, right? Because I want this. I don't want just one apartment.
Yeah, the question is,
I want an apartment by the water.
Yeah, the question is,
I want to live by the water.
But something had to change. So what changed?
What changed? Oh, a major thing that changed for me was I felt as if why not me?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I drive the SLK?
Yeah. But you was also consistent at work.
Yeah.
You was consistent with your music. You were consistent with your attitude.
Right.
I mean, that was the first year you were consistently high vibing, and you started to attract one thing, and then you attracted another thing, and then you attracted another thing.
Snowball effect.
And so it just snowballed because you attracted what you were.
Yeah, but this is the confusing part about that. For this one is, I believe, is confusing for other people. It's not my most productive year.
Okay.
So
it was your most productive year.
No, it was. But what I'm saying is that I've had other years where I did a lot more. A lot more.
Okay, but not consistently.
Where I put down, I installed floors in 3 different houses that month.
Yeah, I get it. But think about it. You can say you had productive spurts, but last year was the most consistently month after month.
I'm not arguing.
But I'm answering. That's your answer.
That I already agree with that. But what I'm saying is that I've moved to the next part, which is this is what people get messed up about, the difference between consistency and productivity.
Yeah, well, because you got to consistently produce.
Yes, but hold on. This is where I'm going with this, is that I felt more productive when I had less.
But you weren't.
Okay. But what I'm telling you is people get that messed up.
Well, so
they think because I'm at this high production
working
level, working like a dog,
yeah,
I gotta get what I want. And what I'm telling you is that the opposite happened for me. So this last year, I've been like, I'm not producing like I think I should.
Yeah, well,
but I'm gonna keep showing up.
But that's first of all, that's not true. You were extremely consistently productive. You weren't getting an A this test and then getting a D the next test and then getting a B the next test and an A the next test and a D. You weren't vacillating. You went to work every gosh darn day for a year. But you had never done that before.
But it didn't feel.
But that's great because you elevated into the point to where it didn't feel like work. Right, you were just producing on a regular basis,
and that's what I'm telling.
So to answer his question, is that what we just got done saying? You have to elevate and stay in that zone. So if you can figure out, if you're a student, and we have some students, some college students that follow us, if you're a student and you figure out how to get a B, and then you can get another B, and then you get another B, then maybe you get a C, then you get an A, so you're still at a B. You're going to change the expectation of yourself. I expect myself to kick out a B, where before I couldn't see a B. But now that I've figured out how to get there and I'm staying there, I told you this, remember? No. Wait. So you built up momentum with your fitness, so you can go to the gym and you can say, hey, last year was my most productive gym year ever, or the year before, I felt like I was more productive because I worked out, then I went on vacation and I ate crappy and I came back and took a month off. Then I went back to work out, and then the holidays came and I ate like crap, and then I got back to working out, and then my birthday came, so so now you're choppy. But when you're consistent, you can't help but produce results as long as you're consistently leveling up.
That's what I'm trying to say is that consistency doesn't feel as good as high productivity. Unless, like, if you're producing high, my goal is to be consistently producing, high producing.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Right now, I'm consistently, so for me, on the low end, I'm consistently low producing because I'm covering my expenses. I have enough money that I can have fun, but I want to have a lot of fun. I want to go on vacations. I want to have $1,000. If I just feel like spending $1,000, I want to just be able to spend $1,000. Okay. I don't want to have to like check my book or nothing like that. And I've been in that spot before. So what I'm saying is that for me personally, I confused for many, many years the sensation. I was chasing the sensation of I wanted to be my own contractor. I wanted to run my own business, which is great. But and this is where you guys can add to it. How many years did you tell me just get a day job while you try to do floors? Yeah. Just go work at McDonald's while you try.
Because you need the consistency of income to feel so you got to have wins, right? If you live your life and it's a constant struggle, not you,
and this is where I'm trying to go with.
That's a problem because you're going to feel like a loser. You're going to feel like you getting robbed. You're going to feel like somebody's getting over on you, getting bamboozled. But if you can figure out how to win, even small wins eventually stack up to big wins. And what you're saying, you may not hear yourself, but when you watch this video or this podcast later, you might be able to hear yourself. But what you said was, hey, I love productivity, but the consistency doesn't feel as good. And the reason why it doesn't feel as good is because you did it so often, it became normal and easy. And so you didn't have to grind for the wins. But what happens to everybody is that they don't understand that you get what you are, which is what I said earlier about trying to get a girl or trying to, whatever, get a job or get a sale. You get what you are. So when you level up from constantly winning and losing and winning and losing, you level up to consistently winning, even if it's a little bit, first of all, it's not going to feel good, right? Because if it felt good, everybody would do it. Yeah. To be successful means you have to be extraordinary. Yeah. You gotta, it's gonna hurt. I don't know if you watched it, but I sent it to both of you a year or longer ago, that interview with, he's a Steelers fan, so I probably sent it to him for sure. But Coach Mike Tomlin, he was like, comfort. He went in hard on people that were just comfortable. He's like, oh, no, I avoid comfort like the plague. Yeah. That's my enemy, right? If I'm not uncomfortable, I got a problem. Yeah. And so what happens is that people seek comfort, right? And then they just level off. And go ahead.
What I was going to say is that, but it's also the dubs aren't going to be as big for at least. But
that's not true.
What I'm saying is that usually you're trading the big dub for the consistency. That's what I had.
For how
people
for
can
how
speak
long?
For themselves.
No, but for how long?
For me, it was like 10 damn years.
No, I'm like, that's not true. You've not been consistent.
No, I'm saying what I'm saying is that I was chasing the big game. I wouldn't shoot at a 3-point buck. Yeah. I'm only shooting at 5-point bucks.
And what I was telling you before, you're gonna starve along the way.
Which is what I did. And that's what I'm saying is that the 5-point buck is amazing. You get to hang the rack on your wall. You get to boast to everybody around.
But what's important? Eating.
But you're starving. But then after so many weeks, all you have is the rack on the wall.
But if you get good at tapping the 3-point buck according to your deal, you're always going to eat.
Yeah,
you're always in the field, and you're going to come across more big bucks, and they're going to be easier to put down.
Know where they at.
But I think that's a lot of people's problem. I think they're so fixated on the 5-point buck, they quit hunting other shit.
To put it more in layman's, I think a great way to mend both their points is the gym.
Yeah,
people go in the gym and they kill themselves.
That's how,
and they're so sore the next day they can't go back. So they take a week off because their back hurt. And then they go back again and they kill themselves, and maybe they go for 3 days this week and they're killing it.
And then they just give it up.
They don't see no results. They're killing it 3 days a week.
And for a month. That's a huge thing. I remind myself every week if I have a week off, because I'll do the incline, then I have my baseline too. And when I hit my baseline, I go, you only gotta do 20.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I started.
Yeah,
20 push-ups. Yeah. That's it. All you have to do today, because the 20 push-ups grew to 40. Which grew to 120.
Yeah. And now when you do 20, 300, you don't feel like you did anything.
I don't feel like I did. But I did. But I did something because I was consistent.
No, 100%.
And that's
what you used to not do.
That's what I used to not do. That's what I used to go, ain't no need doing push-ups today. I only feel like doing 20.
If I can't do 120, I'm not going to do it.
I might as well not do it. And then you get scrawny.
Then you go backwards.
Yep. But instead, at least now, if I take a week off, I usually grow. So I feel like I didn't do shit this week. But
which is a good point, right? Because people think, and I've done it too. No days off. No day. Okay.
You're going to hurt yourself.
You're going to break.
I did the same thing for a long time.
That David Goggins stuff is only for David Goggins.
Trust me, foot in his bone. Every bone in his
foot. And he breaks too. He just don't tell people.
No, he tells everybody.
Or it looks good.
People just skip over the part where you break every day.
He just keeps going, which hurts other stuff. But no diss on David. He's excellent at what he does.
It's just everybody. That's not the right technique for everyone.
No,
especially people who have tried that technique to their own detriment.
Yeah. So going off of discipline and even the expectations, we're talking about things you've done for us and our past, the way we were raised in our childhood.
Yeah.
What was it like for you? Because you had to do this yourself. You didn't have a Derick to.
Yeah, I didn't have no big brother. I didn't have no uncle that was like consistently in my ear. Mm-hmm. My dad worked all the time. Praise be that he worked so we could eat and live. But so I had nobody telling me anything. Mm-hmm. A couple people intermittently here and there would share some tips, but I had to